Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to lesson 3 of expressing preference for a character, our English unit. Our learning intention for today is examining traditional representations of stories, and our success criteria is creating a retell for Cinderella, a fairy tale. Before we go on, just a bit of revision. I've added a few more describing words to our character profile up here on our learning wall. Under appearance, I noticed that she was well dressed and she had long hair. In her qualities, I've stated that she was nice. Under her actions, I've recognised that she is obedient. Obedient meaning that when she's asked to do something in the story, she usually does it straight away. And under thoughts, I've said that she was forgiving because at the end of the story, she invited her stepsisters to her wedding even though they weren't very nice to her throughout the story. So, the things you will need today is a copy of your Cinderella ebook, some paper, pens, pencils again, and some blue tack if you're creating the learning wall at home. So in this lesson, we're going to look at characters in a fairy tale. Fairy tales are traditional stories that have make-believe events and magical experiences. These include things like princes, princesses, kings, queens, and fairies most of the time. They include good characters and bad characters, and a storyline where good triumphs over evil, usually. So before we start, we're going to activate some of our prior knowledge. What I would like you to do is have a look at your front cover of Cinderella, a Fairy Tale. Then I would like you to take a moment and have a think about what you already know about the story. I'm then going to ask you to share with your learning buddy and make a prediction about what you think the story is going to be about. Once you've made your prediction, we can confirm whether your prediction was correct or incorrect. So take a moment to do that with your learning buddy now. One more question before we get on with creating our retell that you can share with your learning buddy is, what are the main events in the story? So now we're going to start creating our retell. So what I've done here is my retell is I've got just a plain A4 piece of paper, and up the top I've written retell Cinderella. Then I've got the beginning, the middle, and the end, about 1/3 of the page each, and just ruled a line. Now I'm going to think about 3 things that happen throughout the story during the beginning, the middle, and the end. So I know in the beginning of the story that Cinderella, she's working hard for her stepsisters and she is sweeping the floor for them. So I'm going to draw myself a nice broom to remind me that that's what she's doing in the start of the story. In the middle of the story, I know that Cinderella, she visits her fairy godmother comes to visit her, and then she goes to the ball. So I'm going to draw my ball that would go on top of a dance floor, and that's going to remind me about what happens in the middle of our story. And then at the end of the story, I know she loses her slipper and the prince comes to find her, so I'm going to draw my glass slipper. So now I've completed my retell. What you might like to do is you might like to add a little bit more detail. You can feel free to colour. If you've got paints at home, you might like to decorate yours with some paints. Once you've completed your retell, I would like you to take a moment and explain it to your learning buddy. Once you've finished explaining your retell to your learning buddy, we can add it to our learning wall. That's all we've got for today, boys and girls. I'll see you for the next lesson.